calculus. So we had spent some time before in lesson 7 rotating shapes about one of the axes using the disk method. So what we're going to do today is rotate it, revolve the shape around a line that's not the x or the y axis. And then your homework will have some questions where you will revolve around a different line that's not the axis, and some reviewing just rotating it around the x or the y axis. So your homework's going to be mixed. Okay, we're going to start off with example 3. So we're going to graph the parabola y equals 2 minus x squared. So I know that's up to, and so we'll go ahead and get that graphed. All right, we know we're bounded by the line g of x equals 1, and then y equals, and then we're going to rotate it around y equals 1. So g of x equals 1 is just this horizontal line right here. And that's also what you're going to rotate it around. Now remember that your rectangle is going to run perpendicular to your axis of rotation. So our rectangle is going to be right here. And what you need to keep in mind before, I'm going to scroll back up here, we took the top curve minus 0 right there and squared it, or we took the right side minus 0 and we squared it. So we're going to carry on with that, and we're going to do volume is the integration from pi, and we can go from -1 to 1, or we can double 1/2 of it, doesn't matter. And what we're going to do here is take the top of our rectangle. So the top is 2 minus x squared. And we're going to subtract the bottom, which is 1. And that whole quantity gets squared. So it's the top minus the bottom and then squared. This rectangle still represents the radius of your cylinder. So remember that volume is pi r squared h, and that's basically what you have going on here. So from here, you're just going to clean it up and integrate. Now, I would always, in this case at least, FOIL that out before I tried to integrate it. Get my pi in there. I forgot to write it down. We're going to take that from -1 to 1. And once you take care of that in that substitution and so forth, you'll get 16 pi over 15. Okay, I'm going to show you one more problem like this. It's number 22 out of your textbook. And it's r of y equals 5 minus 5 over y. And r of y equals 0. And on 22, I want to, let me start over. Let me copy it straight out of the book. I was looking in the solution guide, and they have already jumped ahead on some things. So let me rewrite this for you. xy equals 5. Y equals 2. Y equals 5. And x equals 5. That is what it's bounded by, and I want to rotate it around x equals 5. So this would be y equals 5 over x So if I consider a graph, it's undefined at 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When x is 1, this is 5. When x is 2, I am at 2.5. When x is 5, I am at 1. So something like that for the curve. It would have another buddy curve down here in the third quadrant, but I'm not too worried about that based on all these other bounds I have to graph. Okay, here's y equals 2 coming in. Here's y equals 5 coming in. Here's x equals 5. So looking at that, what do you suppose would be the shape that they want you to consider? You're looking at the graph between 2 and 5 and bounded by x equals 5. So it's got to be this right here. We're going around x equals 5. So because our axis of rotation is vertical, our rectangle has to be horizontal because they run perpendicular to each other. So just like over here in our other problem, our rectangle is perpendicular to the axis and we were going around a horizontal axis. So now we're going around a vertical axis. Everything has to be in terms of y. So this now needs to be x equals 5 over y. And so if we're going to find the volume, we're going to be doing our y bounds from 2 to 5. And we're going to take the right side of our rectangle, which is 5, and subtract the left side of the rectangle, which is the curve, and square that, and then dy. And again, I would FOIL first before I attempt to integrate. So 25 minus, what's that going to be, 50 over y, plus 25 over y squared. Okay. Now, some of you are struggling with integrating this. Remember, it's 25y to the negative second. If I integrate that, I'm going to add 1 and divide. So I'm going to end up with negative, let's see, 25 over y. And we're going to go from 2 to 5. Something else you can do, you can take out a 25 before you start plugging in. And 2 to 5. Let's see, you know what? I made another mistake. That should have a y on it. All right, I think we're good to go now. I miss you guys not catching all my mistakes. Okay. Okay, and we'll clean all of that up. Let's see, how about, okay. Now, of course, you can put all of this in your calculator if you want, or you can keep on going with trying to clean it up. 5 minus a fifth is 24 over 5, so that takes care of those two. Minus 1.5, So it's going to be 48 over 10 minus 15 over 10, so 33 over 10, and then the natural logs can be cleaned up a little bit too. If you're interested, you can take them further, or again, you can still just plug those into your calculator. So there's the simplified version of the answer, and that rounds to 115.251. Okay, I'll be posting your homework soon. Let me know if you have any questions.